Doing a favor for a friend can quickly turn into a massive liability, especially when they use your Lakehouse as a free, unsupervised daycare that ends in a near drowning and thousands of dollars in lost gear. Let's get right into this infuriating situation from user additional _design _97, titled AITAH for banning my friend's kids from our Lakehouse after she dropped them off unsupervised. They almost drowned and lost all my husband's gear. A friend of my husband called him and asked if her kids could go to the house to do some fishing. We expected her to come with them. They were supposed to bring their fishing equipment. She did not stay, she dropped them off and left. She actually dropped one of her sons with his friend, a kid that we don't know. The children forgot their equipment and took my husband's rods and fishing gear. On top of that, they got in the kayak without permission. I do not blame the kids, as they are kids. They went to the middle of the lake and flipped the kayak, almost drowned and lost all my husband's fishing gear. The neighbors rescued them as I was not home yet or aware of this whole situation. She is now blaming it on the friend of her kid as she knows her son. I called her furious and banned her, the kids, the husband and pets from the property, and demanded reimbursement. She is acting as if I'm being irrational. Am I the jerk? Is this mother completely delusional for acting like the homeowner is overreacting, or is there any excuse for dropping kids off at a lake unsupervised? Sound off in the comments. Let's keep going. Sharing a name with a family pet is funny at first, but when your own family starts treating you like the secondary character by calling you human, the joke gets old real fast. Let's get right into this bizarre family drama from user Womolojuzaki13, titled AITA for refusing to answer when my family calls me Human Lucy. My name is Lucy, and a few months ago my sister adopted an older dog that was also already named Lucy. I never expected her to rename the dog, and at first we all thought the coincidence was funny. The problem is that my family started calling the dog Lucy and me Human Lucy. I laughed the first few times, but the nickname stuck. I've asked them several times to just call me Lucy and say the dog when they need to clarify, but they keep insisting it's only a joke. At dinner last weekend, my brother introduced me to his new girlfriend as Human Lucy before using my actual name. Everyone laughed, and I told him I was done answering to it. Later, my mom called Human Lucy from the kitchen because she wanted help carrying something, and I ignored her until she used my name. She thinks I was being childish and making a harmless family joke uncomfortable. I don't mind sharing a name with the dog, but I'm tired of being the one who gets a label added to mine. Am I the jerk? Is her family being completely disrespectful by prioritizing the dog's name over hers, or is she just overreacting to a harmless joke? Drop your verdict below. Up next. Loaning family money during a crisis is generous, but watching them hold onto a $60,000 luxury ring while relying on $150,000 in family bailouts is a quick way to build resentment. Let's get right into this tense financial drama from user difficult office 6268, titled AITA for pushing my sister-in-law to sell her $60,000 engagement ring. My brother's business is going through severe financial issues, and as a result, he and my sister-in-law are in a very bad financial situation. Between my parents, siblings, and other relatives, our family has given them over $150,000 combined to help keep them afloat. They have 3 kids under 3 and are stuck in an $8,500 per month lease until early next year. So their expenses are still extremely high, even though their financial circumstances have changed dramatically. At this point, I don't think the family is likely to give them much, if any, additional money. Ideally, we would also eventually get at least some of the money we've already given them back. My sister-in-law has an engagement ring that originally cost around $60,000, and I've been pushing for them to sell it. I'm getting a fair amount of blowback for that. I understand that she wouldn't get anywhere close to the original purchase price and that an engagement ring is highly sentimental. But it's hard for me to reconcile the family having contributed more than $150,000 while they continue to hold on to a luxury asset worth tens of thousands of dollars. At a certain point, it starts to feel like we're subsidizing luxury rather than simply helping a family through a crisis. If they can sell the ring for a meaningful amount, that money could go towards supporting their kids, paying necessary expenses, or potentially repaying some of the family members who stepped in to help them. Other people think I'm being too harsh because it's her engagement ring and has emotional significance. Am I being unreasonable for pushing them to sell it? Edit. I was one of the people who lent them money in case it's unclear. Edit 2. They tried to negotiate out of the lease, but landlord says no unless he can find another tenant. They live in a very landlord-friendly state, so they'd still be on the hook for the remaining rent. Is the sister-in-law being incredibly entitled by hoarding a $60,000 diamond while her extended family pays her rent, or is the author crossing a line by demanding she sell her most sentimental possession? What's your take? Let's move on. Navigating the line between supportive partner and parental figure gets tricky fast, especially when it comes to a sensitive topic like a preteen's hygiene. Let's get right into this delicate situation from user Twinkie the Kid 1983 titled WIBTAH if I told my girlfriend's child that she stinks. My girlfriend's daughter is 10 years old. She has good personal hygiene, but I've noticed that she sometimes has some body odor, mainly after spending time outside and sweating. She's a growing girl, so I understand that this is completely normal. She does use deodorant, but apparently not consistently. I mentioned it to my girlfriend, and she told me that she has already talked to her daughter about it, but told me she isn't really consistent with it. She also suggested that I mention it to her daughter when I notice it. I'm hesitant to do that. She's a child, and I don't want to make her self-conscious about her body or make her feel like I'm paying attention to how she smells. I also don't want to damage the relationship I've built with her. When I expressed that to my girlfriend, she said maybe you're right. I'm completely comfortable encouraging good hygiene in general, especially if she's been outside playing and needs to shower or put on deodorant. She is also going to be starting school soon, and I don't want her to be bullied because of it. I'm just not sure I should specifically tell her that I've noticed her body odor when her mom has already addressed it with her. I wouldn't say "you stink" to her, obviously. Am I overthinking this, or is it reasonable for me to leave this particular conversation to her mom again? Would I be a jerk if I said something to her? Edit. I have noticed that a few people are saying my girlfriend needs to mom better. I want to say that she is a wonderful mother to both of her children. As I said, she has already said something to her child about it, and I want to make it clear that it wasn't like she told me as if she was ordering me to do this or something. She just suggested that perhaps maybe I could say something because her daughter is close to me too, so she might listen. It wasn't about a malicious intent or her leaving it up to me. I told her that I am not sure if it is my place or right to do so. The girlfriend did agree with me about that. As far as the relationship goes with my girlfriend, we have been together for almost 1 year. We are looking to move in together and try life out together as a family unit. As far as them being my stepkids, they don't call me dad, not yet at least. I don't expect them to, and I wouldn't want to put that pressure on them. The oldest, 10, did write a thank you letter to me, however, expressing how grateful that I am around in her and her younger sister's life. She also said she is grateful that I have stepped up unlike her actual father, like spending actual quality time with them. Even with the short time with them, I love them both as if they were my own kids. I have been in a relationship where my ex had a child, and it was difficult navigating that whole thing. So I am trying to do this right and build a relationship and trust with them instead of being some authority figure to them. Is it strictly the mother's responsibility to handle these sensitive hygiene conversations, or is it okay for a trusted, loving partner to gently step in? Let me know your thoughts. Here's the next one. Making a drunken bet with your broke best friend sounds fun in your 20s, but what happens when you actually win and they expect a massive payout to fix their own terrible financial decisions? Let's get right into this wild dilemma from user Lumen Sailor titled Aida for refusing to give my friend $1,000. When I was 20, a friend and I were both broke and constantly talking about how we needed to get our lives together. One night, drinking beers and shooting the shit, we made a deal. Whoever saved $10,000 first would give the other person $1,000. Over the next few years, we brought it up constantly. Whenever one of us bought something stupid, the other would say, "There goes the 10 grand." Eventually, I started taking my finances seriously. I worked extra hours, stopped going out as much, drove an older car, and passed on things I wanted. My friend went in the opposite direction. He went out constantly, financed a newer car, took trips, and basically lived paycheck to paycheck. A few months ago, I finally hit $10,000. When finances came up, he laughed and said, "So where's my 1,000?" I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He reminded me that we'd shaken on it and that I'd spent years acknowledging the deal. I told him the entire point was to motivate each other to save money. Giving away 10% of my savings because I actually followed through seemed ridiculous. He was annoyed, but eventually dropped it. Then, a month later, his car broke down. The repair is almost exactly $1,000. He asked me for the money again, except this time he wasn't laughing. He said he genuinely needs it, doesn't have enough saved, and could lose his job if he can't reliably get to work. I still said no. He told me, "You literally have the money because you spent years making better decisions than me. I'm not asking for charity, I'm asking you to honor something you promised." Then he said something that actually bothered me. "You were perfectly happy calling it a promise when you thought you might be the one getting the money. Now some of our friends think I should pay because a deal is a deal. Others think it's insane that I'm expected to hand over money I worked for because of something two broke 20-year-olds agreed to. Is the author completely justified in keeping the money they sacrificed so much to save? Or should they honor the bet since they would have expected the payout if the roles were reversed? You be the judge. Moving on." Getting hit with an unexpected demand to repay a massive family loan right after locking your money into a new mortgage is stressful enough, but this one ends in a screaming match. Let's get right into this financial family drama from user no choice 1723 titled "Ada for not telling my mom how much taking out a loan to repay her was costing me." My mom lent me a substantial amount of money during my separation and divorce. After selling the family home in December 2025, I bought a new place with a hefty mortgage at 6.75% interest. Shortly after that, I received a lump sum from a pension fund that I could have repaid my mom with. However, for reasons, we agreed I'd repay her over 10 years with an additional gift at the end in lieu of interest. So I put the money into remortgaging at a lower rate, which meant I paid slightly more per month to decrease the term of the mortgage. Yay. Then my mom gets the opportunity to buy the apartment she's rented for the last 35 years. Out of the blue. So she wants her money now, not over 10 years. Eek. I get on with arranging the loan, and there's some haggling, and she says to just repay her and forget the gift or interest, and I let her know it's costing me a lot because of the crazy interest rates. Then we're talking on the phone, and she casually comments that she may need to borrow money from me in the future, and I say that won't be possible, and she shouted at me until I hung up. We emailed back and forth about it, and apparently I am the jerk for misleading her about my feelings about taking out a massive loan when interest rates have just skyrocketed. Am I the jerk? Is the mother being completely unreasonable by changing the repayment terms and then expecting future favors, or should the author have just communicated their financial stress better? Curious what you all think. Next up. Getting hit with an unexpected demand to repay a massive family loan right after locking your money into a new mortgage is stressful enough, but this one ends in a screaming match. Let's get right into this financial family drama from user no choice 1723 titled "Ada for not telling my mom how much taking out a loan to repay her was costing me." My mom lent me a substantial amount of money during my separation and divorce. After selling the family home in December 2025, I bought a new place with a hefty mortgage at 6.75% interest. Shortly after that, I received a lump sum from a pension fund that I could have repaid my mom with. However, for reasons, we agreed I'd repay her over 10 years with an additional gift at the end in lieu of interest. So I put the money into remortgaging at a lower rate, which meant I paid slightly more per month to decrease the term of the mortgage. Yay. Then my mom gets the opportunity to buy the apartment she's rented for the last 35 years. Out of the blue. So she wants her money now, not over 10 years. Eek. I get on with arranging the loan, and there's some haggling, and she says to just repay her and forget the gift or interest, and I let her know it's costing me a lot because of the crazy interest rates. Then we're talking on the phone, and she casually comments that she may need to borrow money from me in the future, and I say that won't be possible, and she shouted at me until I hung up. We emailed back and forth about it, and apparently I am the jerk for misleading her about my feelings about taking out a massive loan when interest rates have just skyrocketed. Am I the jerk? Is the mother being completely unreasonable by changing the repayment terms and then expecting future favors, or should the author have just communicated their financial stress better? Curious what you all think. Next up. Having an aunt who spends your entire life putting you down and comparing you to her own daughter is exhausting. But finding the perfect, therapist-approved comeback to shut her down in front of everyone is incredibly satisfying. Let's get right into this brilliant victory from user Deep Guarantee 5661 titled AITA for telling my aunt is that supposed to make me feel bad. I 30F have an aunt. my mom's brother's wife, that's always been awful towards me since before I can remember. It has given me huge self-esteem issues. Her daughter and I are only a few months apart, and she always tried to compare us and put us against each other. Her daughter is a tall, skinny blonde cheerleader, and I'm short with curly brown hair. Funny thing is, me and her daughter always got along great, and we were actually pretty close, so it was only coming from my aunt. But now that we are older, my aunt constantly comparing us has put a strain on the relationship, and we aren't close anymore. I could go on and on about all the little insults directed my way my entire life. When I hit puberty, I got curvy as hell, and since I had giant boobs, my aunt would always insinuate I was easy and sleeping around. I started dating my first boyfriend at 19 and then married him, so I got a tattoo and I was trashy according to her. It's on my foot, no one can even see 90% of the time, and it's for my dead dad. I went through a rebellious phase and had a lip ring that I took out years ago, and she still brings it up like it had any impact on my future, asking if I realize how stupid I looked with it. I looked cool as hell with it. We waited 13 years to get married, so she would constantly make jokes about how he was just biding his time until he jumped ship. No, we were saving for a house first. She didn't believe that someone as handsome and successful would go for me. Now that everyone is having babies, it's the constant comments from her about how I don't have any yet and it's already too late, and don't I regret wasting so many years. I asked my mom if she can talk to her because family events have become unbearable with all the little insults and comments. My mom won't do anything because she doesn't want to start problems. Now at every family event, anytime my aunt makes a comment, I have started replying with, "Is that supposed to make me feel bad?" Thank you to my therapist for the suggestion. It works like a charm every time. She gets flustered and then has to explain what she said in front of everyone. After the last family gathering, my mom got mad and told me to stop doing it. It was making everyone uncomfortable and I better not do it again. Is she the jerk for making family events awkward, or is her mother completely out of line for expecting her to just sit there and take the abuse? Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Let's continue. Group vacations can be a blast, but nothing kills the vibe faster than being expected to fund a total stranger's teenager every single night. Let's get right into this awkward vacation drama from user Just Sayin' It Girl, titled Ada Comment About Having to Pay for Somebody Else's Child on Holiday. I recently went on a group 2-week holiday to the Canary Islands. The group consisted of me, F30s, my mom and aunt, 60s, my mom's friend, F50s, and her teenage daughter, 14. When booking the holiday, my mom's friend mentioned she was short of money as she had to pay for her daughter as well, not just her, but desperate to get away after a hard year. My mom covered her share of the holiday, flight's accommodation, because she felt for her friend, with the friend agreeing to pay her back afterwards by a certain date. The holiday started well and normal. During the first week, me, my mom, and aunt, who all enjoy a lie-in, would sleep in till around 10 a.m., sometimes 11, but by midday we would be around the pool, getting brunch from the snack bar and planning our afternoon. Sometimes we went to the beach, the strip, etc. However, my mom's friend and her daughter would not leave their room until around 3 p.m. earliest every day and didn't come out with us. No big deal, it was their holiday as well, and maybe they just wanted to chill inside. However, in the evening, the 5 of us would all meet up to go out to eat at local restaurants. The first night was a Chinese meal. We split the bill 4 ways. We did the same when we paid at the restaurants on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th night. On the 6th night, after a few drinks and an Indian meal, when the waiter brought the bill, my aunt piped up about how it was split. She suggested that we split it 4 ways between the adults, and then my mom's friend paid for her daughter's meal separately. Well, this went down like a lead balloon. My mom's friend was clearly irritated by that comment, saying that we were all aware she was short of money. And if you go out to eat in a group and there's one non-earner, everybody else should chip in to cover their food. It's etiquette. My aunt replied saying if she took her child on holiday with other adults, she would pay for her child herself. My mom's friend ended up paying for her and her child's meal that night, but the atmosphere was terrible for the rest of the holiday. They never came out to eat with us again, instead choosing to go to the local supermarket to buy food and barely left their hotel at all for the rest of the holiday. We are feeling bad because we never intended for the holiday to end like this, and my mom didn't want to lose a friendship. Was it rude of my aunt and bad etiquette to bring it up? Should we have just not said anything and continued to split the bill 4 ways for the rest of the holiday to not make things awkward? Edit. I want to make it clear my mom agreed to cover the flights and accommodation. She did not also agree to give or loan the friend spending money. Is it actually group etiquette to pay for someone else's teenager? Or is this mother acting incredibly entitled after already receiving a free flight and hotel? Where do you stand on this one? Onward. It's one thing to sabotage your own life with addiction, but bringing an innocent baby into the mix, hoping it will magically fix your problems, is a recipe for absolute disaster. Let's get right into this frustrating intervention from user Opposite Squirrel 3324, titled AITA for telling my alcoholic friend to get sober before even thinking about having kids. I, 33F, have a friend, 34M, who is an alcoholic. He has been drinking 4+ nights a week since he was 19. And I'm not talking about have a beer with dinner kind of drinking. This is drink until you throw up, then drink some more kind of drinking. My friend has lost jobs, friendships, and relationships so many times from this. He knows he has a problem but hasn't taken the steps to get sober. I am the friend that has stuck with him and the person that he calls drunk at 2 a.m. I have offered many times to take him to meetings and always try to support him in getting sober, but I know it won't happen until he wants it to. He has a girlfriend who he has been with a couple years. She spent the first part of their relationship partying with him and has spent the last year or so trying to get him to get sober. She got him on that prescription that makes you sick if you drink. He took it for a week and almost ended up in the hospital. He went to a single meeting and then didn't go back. He has been doing better with his drinking lately, which means he has not been missing work or doing anything too crazy, but is still drinking almost every night. Well, his girlfriend just turned 30 and she has baby fever. He told me that they are officially trying to have a kid. My reaction was not what he expected. I said, how can you even think about having a child when you can't go more than 2 days without drinking? How will you take care of a baby when you're drunk almost every night? He's mad that I'm not happy for him. He said the baby will be what finally pushes him to stop drinking. For the record, he drunk dialed me the night of this conversation, so I know he hasn't quit yet. Am I the jerk? Should I have lied and pretended to be happy for him? Is she completely justified in giving him a harsh reality check to protect an unborn child? Or should she have kept her opinions to herself? Sound off below. Let's keep this going. Moving in together is supposed to mean equal say in your own home, but what happens when your partner's family expects it to be Thanksgiving headquarters forever just because that's how it's always been? Let's get right into this holiday hosting dispute from user BubblyOutcast1515, titled AITA for asking that my fiance's family rotate who hosts Thanksgiving. My fiance and I have lived together for almost 2 years. Before we got together, he typically hosted Thanksgiving because he was single and didn't have children. He and his mom also enjoy cooking together as a way to bond, and his mom doesn't get along with his older brother's wife. We hosted Thanksgiving at our apartment last year, and it was honestly a lot for me. His mom stayed with us for about 4 days. We paid to have the apartment professionally cleaned. He and his mom essentially took over the kitchen, and we had multiple guests in our home for hours. By the end of it, Thanksgiving felt more like work than a holiday to me. This year, I told my fiance that I think hosting Thanksgiving should be a shared family responsibility rather than something that automatically falls on us every year. I asked whether his brother could host this time since their mom is the one traveling from out of town. There wasn't a huge argument about it, but I did get pushback. The reasoning was that because his mom doesn't get along with his sister-in-law, having his brother host isn't ideal. I was also told that since his mom isn't local, it's logistically easier for my fiance to host Thanksgiving for the entire family like he has in the past. My issue is that this is now our shared home. I pay half the rent, and I feel like my opinion should carry equal weight when it comes to having overnight guests and hosting a large family gathering. I'm not saying his family shouldn't celebrate together or that his mom shouldn't visit. I just don't think our apartment should automatically be the Thanksgiving location every year because that was the tradition before I lived here. The way it's being framed makes me feel like I'm disrupting a family tradition by asking someone else to host this year. Am I the jerk for asking that Thanksgiving be hosted somewhere else this year? Update. We moved into a new apartment once getting engaged, so the apartment being discussed is a new space for the both of us. Regarding the hosting responsibilities, I'm assisting financially. The last year it was hosted at his apartment when we were not engaged. I paid $300 plus for wine and spirits. Last year, the first year it was hosted at our apartment, I paid for the cleaning service and for wine/spirits. Yes, the brother and his wife, discussed daughter-in-law, attend the Thanksgiving celebration. So the mom and daughter-in-law coexist for a few hours. Why the mom and daughter-in-law don't get along? Typical things: don't agree with parenting style, thinks the son could do better, etc. Is she being unreasonable for trying to change a long-standing family dynamic, or is her fiancé failing to respect her boundaries and equal say in their shared home? Drop your thoughts below. Almost there. It's supposed to be a fun getaway to celebrate your hard-earned postgraduate degree, but instead, your so-called best friend of 15 years tells you she's actively praying for your downfall. Let's get right into this toxic friendship drama from user OK_Rice_3586 titled AITAH for telling my friend she has no qualifications. Togate 24F cut off my friend 24F of 15 years after she told me I need a reality check, life needs to smack me in the face, and she's preying on my downfall. I recently graduated with my postgrad degree and have started my job in research. My friend and I were looking for weekends away to go and celebrate me securing a job and my qualification. While looking, we ended up having a disagreement as she was being picky about where we went, and I said, "This is to celebrate my achievements, so I don't think it's fair she's having so much say on where we go." My friend then replies saying, "You need to have a reality check and I can't wait for life to smack you straight in the face. I pray on that day and your downfall." My response to that was, "You have no qualifications and work in a job you hate." I cut off the friendship there and then. She's now telling people that I was horrible to her and spoke garbage about her life. Am I the jerk? Edit. For a bit of background and context, a few people mentioned about money, and the argument wasn't about money, it was about the location I was driving, and she wanted to go places which were 4+ hours away, and I didn't want to drive that far, and she wouldn't stay in places that had below 5 stars. We both had agreed on a budget and was sticking to that. Comments were made earlier in the friendship throughout my studies where she would laugh when I had a grade I wasn't too pleased about, or, "You think you're better than everyone because you go to university." I have never been that type of person and have always said if you don't need it for the job you want to do, it's not worth putting yourself in the debt, as there's a lot of jobs you can get without a degree. Is she the bad guy for firing back with a harsh reality check, or was she completely justified in cutting off a friend who was secretly jealous of her success? Let's hear your verdict. One more to go. Having an adult child dropped by unannounced sounds completely harmless until you factor in PTSD and the pure, terrifying panic of thinking an intruder is unlocking your front door. Let's get right into this tense family conflict from user Erebus Freya, titled AITA for asking my adult son to give me a heads up before entering our home. I, 42F, live with my husband, 51M, and our 2 younger sons, 25 and 23. Our oldest, 29, Alex, recently moved out with his wife after temporarily living with us. He still has belongings here and is moving them gradually. He is always welcome here. I adore him and love spending time with all our kids. Alex has a key and normally lets himself in, but he normally calls first. Today, he didn't. I was in bed watching TV and rewriting my resume. Everyone else was asleep. Only me and our dog, Frito, were awake. Frito started woofling at the door. I assume my youngest had gotten up to take her out. I heard the door open and close, but Frito continued woofling. I knew something was wrong, so I got up to check. Alex was standing in the living room. He had come over to hang out, but hadn't told anyone. I have PTSD, and unexpectedly hearing someone enter a home I believe is secured can trigger an immediate panic response. My brain doesn't go, "Oh, Alex must be here." It goes, "Someone is getting into the home." I'm not saying Alex can't come over, can't have a key, or needs permission. I simply ask that people who no longer live here give me a heads up. I calmly told Alex that. He said, "Fine, I'll just leave my keys then." I explained that wasn't what I meant. He said his phone was off and he was already on the road, so he couldn't call. I said, "Okay, then in the future, could you knock?" My husband woke up and became angry with me. He said Alex doesn't need to knock because it would set Frito off. I pointed out that Frito had already been woofling when Alex unlocked the door. My husband immediately took his son's side without hearing what happened. He told me I was a jerk for making a big deal out of something that isn't a big deal. He said Alex's family, and in his family, the family home was always a place where family could come and go freely. I understand that was how his family operated, but I never agreed to that. I've told my husband before that I don't like someone who no longer lives here unlocking the door when I don't know they're coming. For context, Alex did not previously have a key to our home and called every time he wanted to hang out, so this has never been an issue before now. What hurt most was being immediately labeled the problem. My husband said his kids would always be his priority, and that if I wasn't okay with that, I was the problem, accused me of hating his children, said he didn't know why I was even here because I hate them all. None of that was what I was saying. I've known these kids their entire lives and consider them my own. Alex is welcome here, and I want this to remain a place all our kids can come home to. I'm not asking Alex to stop coming over or give up his key. I'm asking for a text, call, or, if his phone is unavailable, a knock, instead of just walking in. I don't think Alex was malicious, but I don't think my request is unreasonable. Am I the jerk? Is a simple heads up too much to ask for someone suffering from PTSD, or is her husband right that families should always have an unconditional open door policy? That's it for today. Let me know your verdicts on all of these down below, and I'll see you in the next one.